Hi, my name is Adam Zehner. I'm the Vice President of Acquisitions and Licensing for Funimation. And I have what I think is probably the greatest job out there. I get to go on a shopping spree every season to buy the best anime out of Japan. It's a lot of fun. Every season I get to look at storyboards and the different things that Japan is producing, and then try to figure out how that will translate over to our audience and work with our Japanese partners to bring that to the US fans. On top of that, if the show works, I'm also working to try to find ways to bring it out to our fans through t-shirts, figures, potentially video games, a lot of different ways for us to reach our fans and give them the opportunity to enjoy the content the way that they enjoy interacting with it. So a video game can be a very interactive way to work with the content, or even just wearing a t-shirt and kind of being able to have that conversation piece with other fans. It's a lot of fun. It's a responsibility, but it's one that I really enjoy. When you look at what our department does, we're really taking long looks at what kind of content is coming out of Japan. We're trying to oftentimes get 6 months, 1 year, 18 months out and look at what sort of things Japan is developing. We also have very strong relationships with a lot of the directors and the producers in Japan, and they're oftentimes asking us about the US market. So we're going over, I get to spend 3 months a year or so in Japan, so I get to spend a lot of time with these amazingly creative people. I think it's very interesting, a lot of the Japanese directors and producers are very interested in the US audience and what would be meaningful to them, what kind of stories they want to hear. So there's kind of a dialogue going back and forth between the creative and the business side of Japan, trying to figure out what is it that the US fans are interested in. And then we, of course, are probably getting the better bargain because we're getting to tap into their creative brains and just see what they're looking at, what's exciting them, what's the cutting edge thing that they're involved in. At the end of the day, I think the fans have to understand we have the same goal they do. We want more anime. We want these creators to have a voice, to have a chance to show us more of what's in that brain. And so, we're looking to try to support and give financial support back to those creators so that they get to greenlight their next project, which hopefully is as enchanting as the one that we've fallen for at that time. So that's really my department's goal. We go out and find the content. We try to bring it over to the US. And if it works, we support the artists so that they can hopefully go back to the well and come up with a new creation.
Goten, can you hang tight for a while? Before we move any farther along, I need to show Videl how to use her energy.
All right, but if you ask me, it's a waste of time.
Hey, I'll learn it.
Go on, Goten. Go play somewhere else.
Okay, I'll go play, but I'll be back, and you better be ready.
All right, Goten, we will be.
So how do we decide which content to bring to Funimation? It's an odd challenge, I think, and it's one that is, I think, transitioned quite a bit over the years while I've been here at Funimation. In the old days, we would read the manga, see what was coming out, and then we would track that anime. We would watch it from episode 1, usually to episode 13 or 26 or whatever ended the season. And then we would try to figure out how that story had translated and try to figure out if it fit our audience. That was kind of the way that we had to look at it. On top of that, we really had to figure out not only did it fit our audience, but did it fit sort of the influencers of our industry? And by that, I mean, would Cartoon Network be interested in it? Would Walmart or Target or Best Buy be interested in it? Because at that time, unfortunately, they were sort of a hurdle to success for, or something that could actually compel it to success as well. So they were part of the equation, I would say. But with the advent of simulcast, it really revolutionized the way that we were able to look at and review content. So now, a lot of the traditional gatekeepers have been removed. It's not really as much what Funimation and what Cartoon Network and what Walmart think are the best shows of a season. We get to go out to the fans pretty much directly, either through Funimation.com or some of our partners like Hulu or iTunes, and the fans get to vote. And in the old day, we really had to wait. There weren't so many exposure mechanisms like a Cartoon Network or a Nickelodeon for fans to get that content ahead of maybe a DVD. Well, now in the era of simulcast, the fans are really voting in real time. They're telling us, we watched 8 times as much of this as this other show, and they're deciding what is the best content. And I think it's actually a very positive development for the industry because it really puts the votes into the fans' hands as opposed to someone trying to figure out what the fans want. And so I think in this day and age, what we're looking for is good stories told by great talent. And I think that is where the emphasis has moved to. So we're looking at studios, who's involved, who's the director, the writer. We're looking at storyboards, the character designer. And at some level, you're sort of placing your bets. These days, we're really also looking at how do we reach each one of our fans, because we have a lot of fans that are going to be very, very big Dragon Ball fans. But we have some that are going to want something like Princess Jellyfish. And we're really looking at our season to figure out, are we getting content that speaks to each kind of our customer? And so I think we look at a season and we try to figure out, have we found something that will fit each one of our audience segments? Because we really want to reach everyone that we can. And I think at some level, our job is to serve as an ambassador or as a bridge from the Japanese talent to the U.S. fans. Because at the end of the day, I always sit back in my office and I'm trying to figure out, what can I do to excite and what can I do to delight our fans? And so that's sort of my guideline. I'm looking at the content, trying to figure out, how can I bring the content that's going to excite our fans, that's going to be meaningful to them, that's going to impact them? And my job is to talk to the creators and try to pitch why we can bring that to our fan base and how we can be the right translator of that content, as it were. And I don't mean just in the way we translate a script. I mean how we market it, how we reach our fans with that content. And so really at this time in the industry, what we're looking at is we're really looking early in with those producers, those directors, at the storyboards, at the sort of storyline, and we're trying to figure out who's attached to it, who it fits, and whether it's something that we can bring to our fans, because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to find great content to bring to our fans, and I think it's a fun thing to be able to serve as that bridge between the talent in Japan and the fans in the U.S.
Remarkable! He looks just like Goku when he was a boy and fought against Jackie Chun all those years ago. I'll never forget it. That was the best match that I've ever seen. There was no junior class back then, but little Goku still made it to the finals.
So Funimation and Toei's relationship has really evolved quite a bit over the many years that we've worked together. We've been working together 20 years now. I think Dragon Ball Z was kind of a first date between Toei and Funimation. A really good first date, but it was us getting to know each other, feeling each other out. And I think at the time, they were intrigued by us, but there wasn't a level of trust there just because we hadn't really worked together at that point. And I think that the way that we were able to interact, because Dragon Ball Z, a lot of fans don't know this, it had some hard times in the beginning. It was tough trying to get broadcast. We worked with syndication, so it might be showing in San Francisco, but not in LA, and all of these things. It took a while for us to really be able to show this great show to all of our fans. And I think the way that both Toei and Funimation interacted over those times built a very strong relationship. I think, many of you will know when you start dating someone or something, a lot of times if you have some tough times along the way, it makes the relationship a lot stronger. I think today we're a family. They've allowed us to work on some of the best content ever created, I think. When you look at Dragon Ball or Toriko or One Piece, you've got these amazing brands that we've been able to work together on because we have a level of trust. And it goes back to, you've got these amazing manga creators and, Shueisha, and they have such strong content. They come up with great stories. And I think Toei has an amazing lens on those stories. They're able to take that and really translate it well, I think, into the animated medium. And I think now, not that they would sometimes not look at other companies. They work with Viz and they work with Sentai and different people, but I think that there's a level of comfort when Toei and Funimation sit down across the table from each other, because we may not always agree, but we're going to be very honest with each other. We both know that at the end of the day, what we want is we want the best thing for our baby, for that show. And so I think it's evolved into a much, much closer, almost familial relationship over the years. When we work with Japan, I think we're one of the few entertainment industries that really gets a lot of feedback from the creators, whether it be the original manga creator or the director of the anime or whatever it might be. The creators are very involved with what we do. And by that, I mean, there's a lot of IP in the US, and I don't know this one specifically, but let's say Die Hard, where there's a very good chance that whatever Die Hard t-shirts or Die Hard figures came out, the creator may never have seen those to this day. Well, in Japan, the creators want to be very involved in that process because it is their baby, and they want to make sure it's shown in its best light. Sometimes fans wonder why we don't do certain things, and there can be various reasons for that, but sometimes it's because the creator just doesn't feel like that's where they want their content. And while our goal is to give the fans the content in the way that they want it, in the place that they want it, at the end of the day, we're always going to respect the original creator's vision. And we're lucky enough that we often get to get feedback on that vision from them. And so they're always wanting to make sure that whatever we do, however we try to reach those fans, that it's reflecting the true spirit of that show. And so to that end, my department, licensing, we're always working with new partners, and then we're taking all of the concepts that they come up with, and we're taking that back to Japan, and we're saying, hey, we've got this really cool concept for hoodies. And we show them what it is, and I'm usually not personally there when they do it, but we get feedback from our partners, and they'll say, creator saw this and loved it. He was like, in fact, once you've made it, send us 5 because I want to have it and I want to give them to my friends. Sometimes they come back and go, not feeling this one. And when that's the case, we try to find out why. And we try to work with the American company to say, this one, they feel like it's focused on the wrong element of the property. Let's say it's a romantic comedy and there's a couple fight scenes and this is just the fight. They might say, yeah, there's a couple fights in the show, but that's not really what the overarching storyline of the show is. Please try to refocus the art in a different manner. And that might be something that we go, that makes sense. Okay. And we try to explain that back to people who aren't used to getting that feedback.
There you go, Gohan.
Oh.
So I just press this red button to make it work?
That's it.
Awesome. Hey, can I have one too, Mom?
This is just amazing!
So a lot of people probably don't know this, but in speaking to this process by which we try to serve as a bridge between the Japanese creators and the U.S. licensees, we do have a bit of a Yoda. We do have this thing that gives us guidance that we're allowed to work from, and what they do is they put together something called a style guide. And the style guide is this bad boy right here. And, we'll get into it a little bit, but you'll see there's lots of images and lots of dialogue about how the creator envisions his property and what he wants to see and may not want to see. So we don't have to go out into that scary world alone. We get a bit of a Bible to bring with us, and it allows us to really, I think, show the spirit of the show to the people that are going to be working on it. It's a great introduction. They may get a chance to watch the show. In fact, I'm sure they get a chance to watch the show. But this is really a peek into the brain of the people behind the show. So this really gives a lot of guidance. It's that Yoda moment where it pops up and gives us wisdom that we can take with us to those licensees to try to come up with the right designs, the right models for these licensed product that we're going to bring to market. So this gives us a very good blueprint, and then we try to take this and put a really creative touch upon that blueprint. Because it's art, sometimes they love the direction, sometimes they don't. And so it's a process where we really have a dialogue. And again, I talked about it earlier, but we're very fortunate to have that dialogue with the creators. But this is the icebreaker, and this is where we start. And it's a really good guide that we're frankly very lucky to have. And I think most of the licensees that we work with really appreciate all of the work that the Japanese companies put into these style guides. It's meticulous, and it really gives us a much more solid base, a foundation to build those products upon. So this is kind of a Superman. It's this amazing thing that gives us guidance as we try to move into all of the licensed goods that we might get into. So I think after this, we're going to get a little bit more into style guides and what we work from and maybe the history of them, because like anything, it's evolved a great deal over the years. And we have two very special guests that will be with us. Laura Bowers, who I refer to her as the person who knows where all the bodies are buried. She's been here. She's probably in the top 10 longest tenured employees at Funimation at this point. And sometimes I'll go, why did we do it this way? And she'll be like, interesting story. And she'll kind of talk me through how we ever ended up with this company doing this. So she will be one of the two people that will be talking to you today. And then we also have Jill Hilton, who I talk about sort of this bridge or ambassadorship between the two. Jill actually works on the front line. She works with the approvals. So she is constantly working with our licensees to say, this image, they're not going to like it because X, Y, or Z. And then she also has to go back and fight for things on behalf of our licensees to say, I understand that in Japan, the fans don't necessarily get interested in this kind of thing. In the US, the fans really love this. It would really be meaningful to our fans to be able to show their fandom on Xbox as an example, or whatever it might be. A little segue, Xbox in Japan, very small footprint. Almost nobody uses it. PlayStation is huge there. In the US, up until the newest console release, Xbox had far more of an install base than PlayStation. So sometimes we'll have to go back and explain why Xbox is meaningful to our fans. And Jill really does a lot of that, as well as working with our licensees to bring out a lot of various categories. So she's working on a lot of figures and posters and keychains and all sorts of fun things. So they're going to do a great job, I'm sure, in taking you through how they apply the Bible and perhaps a little bit of how we arrived at this Bible we have. Okay, well, thank you so much for spending a little time with me. I enjoy the chance to kind of interact with the fans and maybe give you a peek into this world that I get to live within. It's a pretty exciting world that I get to work within. And so I hope that you like the content we're buying. It's meaningful to us. At the end of the day, we're fans. That's who we are. And this opportunity to work on something we love with people we love is a unique and great opportunity. I hope you'll also get a chance to look at some of the licensing Bibles that we work through, the style guides. I think they're a fairly fascinating view into something that not a lot of people get to see. So until next time, matautude.
Hello, I'm Laura Bowers, Senior Licensing Manager with Funimation Entertainment.
And I'm Jill Hilton, Licensing Manager at Funimation.
So in the early days of Dragon Ball Z, the licensor provided us files to use for merchandise, but the files were basically just screenshots, which didn't allow for us to create merchandise on a large scale, size-wise. So if you wanted to create something that was much larger than, say, a pen or something like that, the quality of the image on the merchandise did not show up very well. It was a very blurry image. So we ran into issues with that, and so we were kind of left with a problem. And to resolve that problem, Funimation looked into creating vectored images for Dragon Ball Z of the screenshot images, which we went back to the licensor and worked with them for a while on this. And they were finally allowing us to create vectored images, which allowed us to create our own style guides for a time period. So at that point, we were finally able to create things like T-shirts and larger posters and even really large wall signs, things that we could blow up to a larger size. So we worked with style guides with vector images for quite a while. That has now since changed. Our licensor is actually creating wonderful style guides for us, and they create new style guides for us every year. They update and create new artwork for us every year, which is wonderful. It keeps the brand fresh and new. We always have new artwork to work with each year, so it keeps all the products fresh and new for us each year, and we're very thankful for it. Toei has done a very helpful thing here for licensees. They have a list of rules that they definitely will allow and won't allow for their images. So they've put together a quick short list here that they've provided in the style guide so licensees know what they will allow and won't allow. For instance, they will not allow you to flip the images. So if they've created an image in a certain position, you cannot flip it the opposite direction and use it on merchandise.
Another rule they have is don't use images from the internet or any other sources outside the style guide. So when our licensees actually send in products for approval, Toei has to be able to find the image in the style guide or they'll reject it.
Yeah, and they definitely don't like a disembodied head. They do not want Goku's head floating around without his body on, or they don't like the body split in half. They don't want anything kind of creepy like that.
One of my favorite things that's actually applies to most of our Japanese licensors is that it's very, very important if you're going to crop a character in any way to not crop into their eyes.
And then, for instance, they wouldn't want something out of character for a character. For instance, with Krillin here, you definitely want to put a background behind him, say, for instance, with the hearts, that doesn't really match his character. So they wouldn't want anything out of character to be put behind any character in place.
Okay, here we're looking at pages of Goku's character artwork from the Frieza and Cell sagas. So one of the interesting things and one of the most problematic things that I've encountered doing the approvals for Dragon Ball Z is that Goku's outfit changes very slightly across sagas. So as you can see in the Frieza saga, he actually has symbols on the front of his gi that you can see. And of course, those Dragon Ball Z fans will also know that he also has a symbol on his back as well. Once we get to the Cell saga, I guess he doesn't have any symbols anymore. So this tricks me up a lot of times with figure approvals, getting the right symbols and combinations right. Another thing you'll notice is that we have regular Goku versus Super Saiyan Goku, and I guess it's a product of his aura from being Super Saiyan, but his outfit gets much lighter. It's a reddish-orange when he's normal Goku and almost a orange-yellow color when he's Super Saiyan Goku. Early in 2012, our fantastic licensee Ripple Junction, who does our Dragon Ball Z apparel, submitted the first designs with the mention of it's over 9,000 on it. And this was a really interesting approval process because As super fans may know, the 9,000 was actually an original mistranslation of the number, and it was supposed to be 8,000. So the authors of the author of Dragon Ball Z, the publisher of Dragon Ball Z, didn't want us to capitalize anymore on the mistranslation of 9,000. Of course, we all know that It's Over 9,000 became a huge popular meme, and that's what everyone in North America knows it as. So this was actually a 2-month discussion with Toei Animation, which, besides Ripple Junction having their apparel designs mentioning over 9,000, a really interesting thing that happened was that Bandai Japan's collector toy department, called Tamashii Nations, they also wanted to capitalize on the over 9,000 for Comic-Con, creating a diorama of their Figuarts figures to create that iconic scene with Vegeta crushing his scouter and yelling that it's over 9,000. So with Funimation and Bandai working together in discussion with Toei, we were finally able to get the over 9,000 cleared for products, and several other licensees now, like a belt maker, belts and wristbands have also capitalized on using the It's Over 9,000 and the Vegeta image and Goku images that go with them.
And Toei, when they've provided the style guide to us, they've done something great. They've created some images for us to use for products that are targeted towards an older audience, where they've kind of created some darker images for merchandise here. You can see they've put some darker shading, some more, I guess, angry-looking images put together, something that wouldn't necessarily look good on younger, youthful products, but something that you would see for an older adult audience.
These transformation pages are mostly informational for licensees, just so they can understand the evolution of the characters better and can help them make better product according to that. But one specific thing that we encounter with different designs is that one of the rules we have to follow is that characters can't typically be repeated in one design unless you're showing every stage of their transformation. So you can't have 2 regular Gokus in a design because there aren't 2 Gokus. There's just one Goku. But you could have Goku and then Super Saiyan Goku and then Super Saiyan level 3 Goku all together in one design.
Thanks for allowing us to share some of our time with you and you sharing some of your time with us. Hope this answered maybe some of your questions about what goes on in the approval process for merchandise and what it's all about. And thanks for being a fan.
And I just wanted to add that I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the business-to-business stuff that goes on between us, our licensees, and our wonderful licensor, Toei Animation, including the wonderful images and guide that they provide us to help us make the best product possible. And we really enjoyed talking to you.
Yep, thanks.